This is Battlefield 5. We're on Xbox Series X. The game has received a FPS boost. So that means we're getting 120 FPS. This is one of those ones where you actually have to go and manually turn it on under the My Games and Apps. And with that, you will lose the resolution quality. So instead of getting the traditional like 4K 60, you're instead going to get 120 at 1080p. And it does have HDR support still. So it's really a choice of what you want to kind of have available to you. Do you want a high level of fluidity that feels really fantastic and smooth? Or do you want a really good level of fluidity, but also to retain that high visual quality that you very much are likely used to at this point if you've been playing the game for a while? I should also mention that YouTube doesn't support 120 and I can't record at 120, so hopefully you're still able to see the benefit of the fluidity, which again, for if you've seen my other FPS kind of video talks, it's a lot of like you're panning around, it's a lot smoother, your accuracy or how you're able to aim in and react to enemy situations is just a lot better. So when I show off Battlefield 5, I usually show off this level because I think it's usually fairly lovely in terms of the visuals. You can definitely notice a visual drop, but it still looks pretty good. But yeah, like I was saying, this is kind of a good little showcase. And we start off with the single player, and then we'll switch over to showing off the multiplayer action. So obviously Battlefield 5 returned the series to the World Wars again. So you of course get new locations, enhanced combat scenarios. It's, the whole thing that you're probably used to if you've been playing recent Battlefield titles. So you get these war stories. These are the campaign elements, the story bits. They're small little, separate standalone stories that you can enjoy. And they each tell like a little different story. But yeah, like I said, the heart of the Battlefield franchise really is the multiplayer component of it, and that's where the FPS boost particularly, is fantastic. It's just when you're competing against others, it can give you, at least in my opinion, quite a bit of an edge in terms of fluidity and how you play the game. It's kind of really exciting that we're getting these options present, because again, it's as if a developer actually went out and optimized a title. You would get kind of two options. You would get a, sort of high fluidity 120 at a lower res, and then you'd get a 4K 60. And now we're going to switch over to the multiplayer before we get totally shot up here and die. Oh yes, this would have been a lot smarter of a tactical route going underneath here. But yeah, let's get into the multiplayer. This is the multiplayer component of the game. We're doing Breakthrough, which seems to be kind of the core evolution of the ground operations, just in regards to like kind of having a situation where you're battling back and forth, defending sectors, attacking sectors, kind of moving from area to area. This is definitely, what seems to be kind of the key mode that folks check out on this one. And this is one of the more lovely looking maps. And yeah, it still looks really good, but I can definitely tell the drop in visual quality, at least, from my perspective of playing this in the past. It's still quite a good looking game, that's for sure. And like I said, it really comes down to personal preference. Do you want to keep up your your resolution stuff, or do you want that higher frame rate? It's completely up to you and how you want to deploy it, which I think is kind of a really cool option that they allow you to have in this game. I think it's really neat. So this also has like fortifications, so you can like build up kind of like walls and stuff in order to defend yourself. There we go. It's kind of a neat little defensive feature, I guess, if you want to kind of enjoy that. And I think the enemy team is going to be raging in here. So yeah, your typical 64-player matches, one of the later gen releases in the Battlefield series. I think it's still got quite a bit of fun to it, just in terms of what it provides gameplay-wise, some really beautiful levels. Neat challenges, and of course that classic Battlefield combat: infantry, vehicles, and aerial too. Well, aerial vehicles, so you can do like tanks and jeeps and stuff, or you can be in planes, and there's like blimp things, and there's all kinds of aerial type stuff they got going on in this one. And in the last one too. This one's very close to what I would say, you know, Battlefield 1. Just they kind of almost follow each other in some ways, and this one does some other weird things as well, you know, the revival system and that. And you still have kind of classes too. It's an interesting, you know, setup, I guess you could say. Oh crap, I forgot the I don't have a, yeah, because you've got to actually manually pick people up in this one, which is so, I don't know. I don't hate it, it's just, it's weird to get used to, because I've been doing all the other Battlefields, you know, over the last days, so it's a bit, kind of getting used to it. But it's really crazy to think of this title, you know, considering it's so recent, to be doing the 120. It really gets me excited for what they might be doing with Battlefield 6 in regards to, you know, kind of the frame rate options in that one. I mean, obviously the engine can definitely handle it beautifully well. I feel, you know, like it's really smooth, and I can get, you know, a good advantage on shooting folks and, you know, moving across and shooting multiple individuals and targets at the same time and not having too many problems. I think that's really quite a bonus in this title. I really wish it wasn't such a drop in quality. Like the close ground on your characters when you're moving around, that's okay. But as soon as you like look out a little bit in the distance, or you try to really look at the fine details, I think it, you know, it does kind of stick out in that regard. And it's just a bit of a shame that we have to give up that resolution. And I hope, you know, further down the line, maybe if they'll reinvestigate the FPS boosts and stuff at some point with like a future Xbox console. Maybe it'll be as easy as just like flopping a switch and we can get retain our 4K and also get the 120. That would be really cool. I don't see why that couldn't be a thing, you know, just in regards to how they've been applying this one at the current time. And you know, that's future thinking, right? That's what a lot of this is. So Battlefield 5, you know, still pretty good experience. I liked it quite a bit. I think the community was like a bit more mixed on this one with its release and everything, which was totally fine, and I guess, you know, justified in many angles. And it's just sort of, yeah, it's interesting to keep playing this one, because I do find the maps and stuff to be quite well done, quite well designed. You know, they got neat moments in this one, neat challenges and battles to have with others. I think it definitely has some, like, really cool highlight moments to it. And of course the weapons and stuff, you know, you get all these different tools. Those are really cool. Where are these bad guys? I'm trying to get up here, but I don't want to get out of the zone too much. Oh, wow, there goes my streak. But like I said, you know, they've given you a lot of tools in this one to do all kinds of different things, whether you want to fight on foot, you want to be in a tank, you want to be in a bit of a plane, you want to build up your fortifications, you want to get like your squad call-ins, because as you get points, you know, your squad leader can kind of call in these perks, as to say. And again, it's the same large-scale combat you kind of know and love. It just plays beautifully fluid. I mean, it's it's so fast, you know, in regards to how you kind of move around and stuff. It's a bit wild, to say the least. I didn't think I'd actually be playing a Battlefield title on the console at this level of, you know, fluidity. To me, that's just kind of wild. You just expect certain things, you know, performance and resolution-wise, and then all of a sudden it hits you and you're like, whoa, this is nuts. It's also, like, kind of hard to talk about other elements of the experience, because it's pretty straightforward, you know. You've got your little campaign war stories that they seemingly sort of almost hide for some reason, and then you've got all the multiplayer content. You've got like your breakthrough here, your adjusted operations, grand operations, and you got your traditional modes, and you've got some, you know, smaller combative options too if you want like a little bit more focused infantry type things. They give you lots of choices, and it still seems to be decently popular. I actually say it's somewhat comparable to even like older Battlefield titles that came way before it, which is kind of funny, a little bit sad, but, you know, also kind of funny, because I actually do think this is a pretty well done game. I mean, honestly, it's quite good looking. It's got a variety of different environments, and it had some good support for it. I mean, the support came out a little bit too far after launch, I personally think, from, you know, looking back on reflection of it. It had a failed battle royale mode that I wasn't huge into. Was that actually a bad guy that I just like straight up walked by and didn't even notice? Pick me up, my friend. Pick me up, thanks. And, you know, there's your squad stuff, and you play different roles in that within your team too, as you know, work to revive one another and perform different niche things in order to provide benefits. Wow, he's helping me up again. You are a true team player today. That's absolutely crazy, I gotta say. Die. Nice. Ah, oh, crap, I shot in the back. Icy dog's breath. I think that guy killed me all 3 times there. He just kept shooting me. And then there's also like dynamics of destruction and stuff in the environment, like a subtle thing where things can get kind of broken apart. And you know, there are some evolutions to this series. And I was kind of hoping we'd have more of a progressional chat, just in regards to where we were headed, because well, it just seems like the enemy really isn't making any sort of real progress here, as to say. They're sort of really just holding back. But it gives you a good look at this map, which, again, does look really beautiful. You know, when you're on the regular Series X kind of release of it, it still looks really, really good, like quite detailed, you know, considering where it's inheriting this resolution from. I'm actually going to give real props to that lower-end console, which is kind of interesting. The lovely little snow coming down. Because, you know, it basically loses the 1X enhancement, and then you're kind of stuck with the lower-end console one when you want to enjoy these FPS boosts. Just for further context, in case you're wondering where, like, the detailed numbers and that come from, it's actually also a very clever way for them to add in the FPS boost, because, you know, then they... Because the whole point of it is they just sort of... I don't know how I was killing that guy. They sort of, like, brute force the frame rate. So the easiest way to do that, if it can't do, you know, the full level that it's at, is to drop it down res-wise to another option that's present, and just open up that frame rate. Ooh, I'm dead. Yeah, it's definitely kind of a fun experience, so I was hoping we'd kind of get pushed back a little bit. The spawning protection system in this game drives me bonkers. Because I was hoping we'd sort of get pushed more into the town there to see what that was all kind of looking like. Oh, jeez. Keep getting shot up. That's the thing about Battlefield. Large battlefields. Lots of destruction. Lots of chaos. Lots of death. I'm dying. Yeah, the weird, like, death kind of thing is just really odd to me. It made sense, though. It was a slow evolution to sending us back or further and further towards more dynamic revival things. But I think that also sort of, like, really nerfs and doesn't really give the medic class much of a purpose in the modern era, because usually you use the defibs and stuff to save people, or the syringe, and now it's just kind of like anyone can be a hero. So I think with that, we probably should switch to another map. So I thought we'd join another map, just like I said, so we can show off something a little bit different environmentally. I thought this would be a nice little touch, getting a little bit more of a city-type scenario, so you can see that. Again, like, you see quite, like, a bit of a drop in regards to, like, the resolution and, like, distance and everything like that. It's just a lot less sharper, but... You know, you can't deny the fact that having that fluidity isn't just, like, fantastic in regards to all the effects and the, you know, the environment and everything like that. It just feels great. I don't notice that there's been any sort of, like, artifacting or anything like that. It seems to all run quite perfectly. Once or twice I've seen that FPS boost maybe introducing something along those lines, but... You know, it all seems to run actually quite beautifully well with the Frostbite engine. I assume that's a large point of what this, you know, kind of FPS droppage of EA games was all about, was sort of, you know, testing out what the Frostbite engine can kind of do when it's done. And I mean, it's a good partnership for Xbox as well, considering they work with EA Play and they have that on Game Pass. So, you know, it just makes sense from multiple perspectives, I guess you could say. That's the biggest thing. It just really worked out well. I don't know. I'm kind of mostly just happy with this to be able to, you know, kind of experience these games, especially like long term. Be able to be like, hey, this like feels incredible, because it will years down the line having this fluidity. People will be like, oh, nice, because I know not everybody will be able to jump into, you know, the 120. Oh, jeez. jump into the higher frame rate right away, but the fact that it's there is a nice choice to have. It's a nice feature. That's the biggest thing. And yeah, it's just kind of cool. Mostly just going to show off more of the Battlefield in action, I guess. I don't really have like a whole lot else to say about Battlefield 5. We've kind of gone over it. You know, you've got your war stories, you've got your multiplayer, you got your different experiences to have. It's got some neat dynamics of play, and it's just another Battlefield title that you can kind of choose between if you want to go in and experience what this franchise has to offer. You know, you just get a slightly different era choice. This is the biggest thing, right? It looks quite good visually. It's actually quite technically impressive, I think, this one. Even in comparison to other... Oh, crap. I'll tell you, throw that back. That's kind of cool. You know, even in comparison to other Battlefield titles, I think, you know, the fact that they were able to squeeze this much resolution out of, like... Because, you know, it's inheriting the original Xbox One kind of release. The fact they were able to squeeze this much out of it is actually really impressive optimization-wise. So you gotta give them good props for being able to even, like, achieve this sort of thing. That's what I'm thinking of when I look at this. I'm like, oh, wow. Huh. This is kind of amazing. Self-heal. Okay, I'm so dead. Can't seem to get up there. It's just, like, causing me death. That's a little disappointing. But that's how it goes, man. Oh, bleeding out, dying. Had better days. Better days. Oh, wow, I actually break through the door, so that's cool. But yeah, I love the different battlefields in this one. I was going to say battlefronts, but I was like, we're not in Battlefront. You know, you get a wide range of different things. You know, deserts and city structures and beautiful snow kind of laced areas. You know, all sorts of weird things, right? Every weird Battlefront place you could think of. And this one's actually really cool from a technical perspective. And I kind of wish they would maybe go back and actually properly sort of optimize this one, if that makes sense. They probably won't because it got the FPS boost, but you know, I've seen this one on PC and they've done like ray tracing implementation, and it looks, you know, it's kind of a really beautiful showcase of what that could do, and it'd be really cool to see if you know, they could throw that on the console. But I guess that is RTX as well, but I'm pretty sure they shouldn't be too impossible for them to implement it console-wise, I would think. But you know, it just really likely isn't happening. It's just like a thought that kind of came across my mind when I'm looking at that area, because, well, you know, seeing that with RT, seeing this map in with RT in general is like actually really quite amazing. It makes a big change up for what this has to offer. Oh, I forgot, there's a big hole in the middle of the bridge. Building a fence. Why didn't he stop to kill me? Oh crap, that guy stopped to kill me. Anyways, it's Battlefield 5. I hope you enjoyed this look at the game. I think it's still kind of neat to check out, and the 120, you know, is a cool option so that you can now be sitting on the ground in high fluidity and really feeling your death sink in a little bit more than usual.